Alright you guys, the moment you've been waiting for. Welcome back to the Ghouls Gaming and Tech channel, and today we got a little doozy because I'm kind of split on my opinion about this iPhone 14 Pro Max. This video is the review. Essentially I came down to, it's a new name, but is it like the same thing as the 13 Pro Max? Spidey, he was asking me what phone he should get. Should he get the 13 or the 14? I was like, I don't know, bro. I'm looking at some things and it's kind of shaky. I don't know. But I'm going to answer those questions after all the research and, practical use I've done with this. But before we get into that, if you're new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button. It's definitely appreciated. And if you're new or returning, make sure to hit that like button. I appreciate that as well. So without any further ado, let's get into it. I'm going to keep this review short and sweet, because it's not really, after I use this phone a lot, there's not much I need to really cover because a lot of things are similar. So I'm just hit on the main point. So first thing, the price for the iPhone 14 Pro Max, $1,199. Now that is for the 256 gig model, which this is. So I'm only going to be speaking about that. The only difference on this model than the other ones is just the gigabyte. So it's essentially the same thing. Okay. Now the design, it's basically the same build as the iPhone 13. It's just a larger camera bump and you have that dynamic island at the top. But other than that, it's pretty much the exact same build. Now as far as durability, it's the same as the iPhone 13. It's pretty solid. Now that's not knocking the iPhone 13. The iPhone 13 was built pretty solid. Now this is pretty much the same for the front and back of the phone. The durability is the same for the 13. Now the battery, it's okay. The reason why I say it's okay, even though it has a slight edge, it's okay. With the always on display, it really drains the battery. I didn't think this was going to be a big deal, but it actually drains the battery and you can notice it. So I get good use out of this, so it lasts about a day and a half, on average. But the always on display, I definitely notice when this is on, it drains the battery more than usual. But the dynamic island, it's good for what it is, but I wish more apps were incorporated with the dynamic island. The most common apps that are used by the dynamic island is the Maps feature, Spotify, calls, screen recording, the timer, FaceTime, or Face ID, sorry. For some reason, the messages aren't included in the dynamic island. So if I got a message right now, it would just show up as a regular prompt up here, but separate from the dynamic island. Which is weird. I don't know why it does that, but everything else, even the calls, like I said, the dynamic island interacts with it, but the messages, they don't. That's just kind of weird to me. So another thing, the camera quality. The main camera's back here. Obviously, you guys know there was a big jump on the 48 megapixel camera as far as the main camera for the iPhone 14 Pro Max. Big jump from the 12 megapixel that it usually is. You don't really notice the difference. I gotta be honest with you. You don't really notice the difference. So as far as taking pictures, they are good quality, but the iPhone 13 didn't slack on quality when it came to the picture. So you don't really notice the difference. The main difference that I noticed is, as far as the cameras, is the selfie camera. The selfie camera is actually really good, and I really noticed the difference when it came to like FaceTime or just taking pictures, using that selfie camera. Alright, now, so as far as the features, the main features with this phone as opposed to the other ones is you do have that always on display, the crash detection that's on this phone, and I will tell you guys right now, I did not test this. You would be out of your mind if you think I'm gonna test crash detection with this phone. I'm not simulating me getting the crash. I'm not actually gonna get in the crash. Maybe, God willing, that I don't. But if I got in the crash, then I would let you guys know how that happened. I don't plan on that happening. I don't want that to happen. I don't want anybody to get in the crash. So that is something I will not be testing. You can go to other YouTubers, check out their channel, and see how that crash detection worked. But on Ghouls Gaming and Tech, am I testing that? Hell no. Like I said, another feature, the action mode on the camera. Now, I was pretty hyped about that, but when I started actually using it, As you can see here, the function of the action mode works. It stabilizes the camera, reduces all that shakiness, but one thing that I cannot get around is the quality of the video. It's not that great. It's very fuzzy. It's very, pixelated. You can see all the issues in the actual video itself. But as far as the actual function of the action mode, it works. The quality of the video is horrible. So I won't find myself using that often, and I don't think you guys would use that often. So, like I said, I'm keeping this video short and sweet. Those are the main things you need to know. And my overall rating for the iPhone 14 Pro Max alone, by itself, and because I've had the 13 Pro Max, I would give this a solid 7.7 out of 10. It's new features on here, it's great, but there's about a 60-40% of the time where I'm realizing, or I'm feeling like, this is basically the iPhone 13. Just some, gimmicks and some new features here and there, but this is basically the iPhone 13 Pro Max with some new features here and there. 7 out of 10, still not bad. If you look at the phone itself, like if you never had an iPhone and you come to this, you would definitely rank this higher. Definitely probably like maybe a 8.7 or a 9 out of 10. But if you ever had an iPhone, definitely any one of the recent years, this is basically going to feel like a iPhone 13 Pro Max. I'm sorry to tell you. I'm sorry. Spidey, I know you're trying to figure out which one you want. I guess now you know your answer. It's a great product. Minor improvements from the 13. But if you don't care about any of those features that they added to this phone as opposed to the 13 Pro Max, get the 13 Pro Max. This is not worth you getting a new cell phone bill or, getting a loan for, however you choose to finance or pay for this phone. It's not worth it. So it's a great phone, new colorways, that's cool and all, but it's essentially an iPhone 13 Pro Max. But thank you guys for tuning into this video. I like to keep it short and sweet. I really appreciate it. I love you guys, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace. Spidey!